Thank you. I would like to start with thanking everyone and the organizers and all the activists and everyone that is standing up for an end for the humanitarian crisis that is going on in Gaza. That is actually a result of a deteriorating political stand or political situation. I will step aside from political speech and so on. I'll try to highlight some of the humanitarian problems that are going on there and on for a long time, even before Hamas was elected as majority in the Palestinian problem. Actually, in the past 2-3 years, I've been to Gaza Strip because I was studying in UAE, United Arab Emirates. I've been twice, and the 2 times were before Hamas government or Hamas and the unity government were formed. And as everybody knows there, but it is not highlighted in your media, that the blockade and the siege policy has been going on for a long time. The waiting times that we've been suffering from has been going forever before any other type of elected governments were actually been raised to the parliament or to in the government. Actually, I used to, since I came here to the site, call my family every Saturday and Sunday. Last Saturday and Sunday I wasn't able to because of the massive electrical outage in Gaza Strip. That was very frustrating. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's actually happening. Woke up like in Wednesday or Tuesday, I don't really remember, on the people actually trying to blow up all their needs into the wall between them and Egypt and going to run away for buying their basic necessities. Actually, my family basically, what I mentioned, the people were just looking for bread and cheese and fuel or candles to hold on their normal lives, to cope with the 21st century. I have friends that are waiting for now more than 7 or 8 months to go to their graduate studies outside. I have an uncle that is now in Egypt for 7 months that cannot go back to Gaza Strip because of the blockade. I don't know now currently if I want to go visit my family, if I can or not. So the continuous halting status that we're living is actually unbelievable. And I was actually thrilled when, this is my 2nd or 3rd month in the United States, and I was thrilled to know about the memory of Dr. King and the civil society movements here. And I was actually surprised with how the difference between how much we're trying to enforce civil society somewhere and somewhere else is actually shaded by injustice for people and for a whole nation. A lot of hospitals, schools, organizations that give basic needs for people are not functioning well and paralyzed by the massive blockade and the massive embargo that is being enforced on Gaza. I don't want to make this long, but we all hope, as much as this wall between Palestinians and Egypt, that the people went to get their basic necessities. We hope the wall in the West Bank as well falls down as any other wall that highlighted human sufferings before in the history. Thank you.
The siege in Gaza is a violent and immoral policy. It is also a form of psychological warfare. And this is stated openly by Israeli policymakers and the U.S. politicians here in D.C. that support them. The siege is not only about the rockets, it is a means to physically and emotionally conquer and subjugate an entire population, It's a radical disempowerment, and in that, it's a form of torture. It's also important to talk about the Holocaust, as Mr. Becker explained, because the Holocaust resulted in the Geneva Conventions and the institutionalization of humanitarian and human rights law. And it is the Geneva Conventions which are being abrogated on a daily basis in Gaza and the rest of Palestine by Israel and its supporters here in the US and around the world. The crimes that they're guilty of are crimes against humanity and war crimes. And one crime against humanity, which is a newer feature of international law, is the crime of apartheid. It is defined as a crime against humanity, and it reads almost word to word as the effects of Israeli policy in Gaza and in Palestine as a whole. If you go through the definition of the crime of apartheid, it's a veritable laundry list of Israeli policies in Palestine. I'm not going to go into it here, but I do have the text with me, so if anyone has questions, I'm happy to show. And instead, I'll also encourage you to attend a series of events coming up in the first week of February. It's Israeli Apartheid Week, and we have a series of events going on in DC. There's flyers on the outside table, which you can pick up. Also, my organization, Interfaith Peacebuilders, will send a delegation in July dealing with the question of apartheid. In conclusion, the question that we must ask ourselves is, what does this mean for us living here in the US? We know that our government unconditionally supports Israeli policy, and that Israeli policy is criminal. It amounts to war crimes and to apartheid. We also know that we find little divergence from this unconditional support in our Congress or in the dismal array of political candidates created before us for our choosing in November. My challenge to all of us here, sitting on the panel and outside and anyone watching, is that when we look back at what it takes to defeat apartheid in the US and in South Africa, it took more than us standing up here and saying these things, and it took more than us marching and yelling on the streets. Our communities helped South Africans defeat apartheid by boycotting South African products and by demanding that our institutions divest from the apartheid regime. We must now do the same in defeating this new apartheid. Defeating apartheid before took organizing, and defeating this new apartheid requires the same. My challenge to all of us here is to leave today and the march which will happen more angry, more desperate, and more committed to doing that work. We need to take this back to our communities and start to build. My hope and my challenge is that we don't step back out onto the streets until we have begun to really seriously organize in our communities. If we don't do that, we can shout all we want, and our calls will ring back hollow. No peace without Gaza. It's end apartheid once and for all.